Well, I have Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury all in my third house in Scorpio. So when I grew up in a small town, and we played a lot of sports, and it was like lifeline. When we moved to the city, Montreal, we went to a school and it was very rich, very controlled, and my history teacher was my gym teacher, and he wouldn't let me play on the team because I wasn't good enough in history and I was too small. So he was really unjust to me around my gymnastics once I got into high school areas. So I had to, my understanding was like I could sit there and be mad all the time, but I went and I signed up with a gym to do some gymnastics on my own, paid for separately. And so when I had to, I signed up with another school to just, a place in another city just to be able to go play football. It wasn't because parents told me that, it's just because I wasn't going to accept I can't play because this guy's messing up my life. You know, eventually I let it go. It went down and I didn't follow it further, but still, it was just the way my understanding processing. I have to do something myself. My dad told me I couldn't have a bike when I was 12 years old, a two-wheeler. I said, what if I buy it myself? He said, well, then it's up to you. So I had a bike in 6 months because I went and made money. I understood how to do it, and I had my own bike. So and having that bike, I could travel, I could go places, I had different adventures, Jupiter in the third house. So that's how my take on it. That's irrelevant to how rich or poor my family was. You know, so just everybody has a story, and you got to spend an hour or two on it to just get into it. You're going to spend hours on your own wondering about it. That's why I'm using my example, but the more I use my example, less I'm being thorough and going around everything. But the subjective, intuitive understanding is my personal understanding. What's right, what's wrong, I have to prove it. If someone's wrong, I have to prove it. But if I'm wrong, I'm still going out doing things, and I have to prove it. And then I make my mistakes. Then I learn from my own mistakes by not fitting in. So getting rid of anger and things when you come out of an abusive situation, that takes time. It takes another years out of your life to refine that. Hopefully, I refined it a little bit now. But you better do well with your classes or who knows? Okay, so the intuitive Jupiter it's their personal take on what it means. That personal take could be out in La La Land, you had alcohol or drugs or something, wouldn't matter. They're going to be going on that understanding. But thank heavens some people do, because they're great visionaries, nobody gets enlightened in a church. Nobody becomes a great writer working in the bank. You know, it's not because where you fit in that you have the good ideas or the good understanding. So Jupiter works best in how you function above the horizon, but it has its presence of, there's a lot of other ways to travel and run into things. And to be able to put your understanding out or to write a book or feel you got to do something, that's an intuitive projection. Third house, second house, I got to spend money, I got to buy this. I got just on the ascendant, I got to go here, I got to go there. I just know it. So the personal identification, the subjective, intuitive sense of what's right or wrong or what I understand and what I have to do, that's there with the Jupiter in that section, not necessarily tied up to one's job or anything else. So for me, I hardly ever would go to a teacher for advice. It's someplace I had the punishment. I had to sit down and learn and take things and do as much as I could and get it. But the interactions and the things around it, I had to figure things out for myself. But that's the Mercury and Jupiter both, and the Mars all both down there. But anyways, when Jupiter gets above the horizon, you start projecting out. You're trying to expand your social status and position. You're trying to explain, understand, see who's who you know, what team you're part of, what group you're part of, what game you're part of. This is going on. You want to be part of things, part of movements. You want to build up things. And you're seeing that this is the group, this is the team, this is the job, this is the way, or this is the spiritual, or this is not the way, or this is like, this is going wrong. So your understanding is going to come from your friends and status and who lives up to what, who's real, who's not. It's going to be much more functional. And as it does that, it's guiding you in that direction. That's going to take away from time from just living in your own intuitions, seemingly selfishly. That's all the rising half, the intuitive, and they're trying to extend one's status and position and friends and who you know and where you've been, what you've done. When Jupiter starts setting, You try in the sensation side, above the functional side, it's about marriage, related, shared resources, and ethics is like we've been married, but we've had our holidays. We've gone down to Cuba, we've gone over to China, we've gone up to Alaska, we've traveled, we've seen all the things we've seen. We know what's right. We're part of the church. We're part of this. We have this understanding. We're part of this community. And here's where we are. Here's what we have to do to fit in with this community. And as we do that, it'll make money. We'll be okay, and we'll take care of things. We'll send our kids to those schools. We'll function in those ways. That's the setting Jupiter. Where do I belong? Why do I fit in? How do I align? And it's going to be very sensitive to other people's suggestions or ideas of what's right or wrong. It's not going to be strongly pushing its own. It's going to be more aligning to what's established or what one's exposed to. When it goes below the horizon, it stops being just aligning and starts taking personal impressions, whether the understanding is right or wrong. My parents shouldn't have got divorced, or they did. Now, you could say that's an understanding, but if you're taking it personally, how come I got divorced? How come I got adopted? Or how come you're trying to understand, how do you play, even if something doesn't work that well, if you get the feedback from family, it's coming in, feedback from others, how do you take it and use it to be creative so you can perform, so you have skills that other people want, and they'll come and ask you because they know you can respond to their needs. Responding to others' needs, that's that feeling quadrant. Jupiter there is the wisdom about, wow, if I learn how to do this and this, if I develop a trade or a skill, or I can develop how to be healthy, or how to fix things for myself, I can use that to be useful for other people when they need it. Not that I'm going to go push it out. I'm just going to know how to do it. If someone needs it, they'll tell me and they'll come to me and I'll do the massage, or I'll help them, or I'll help fix their situations. Or like if the husband comes home, the husband's seventh house comes home and he's upset, he's had a bad day. Oh, come on in, honey, I'll hug you, I'll take care of you, I'll make you feel better. Forget about that jerk. Let's feel good at home. It's subjective, it's personal feelings. And if the Jupiter's there, there's a great need to understand how to respond to other people in good ways. I understand what you're going to do. Here, I'll help you. Or understand, hey, notice me. Hey, look at this. Let's get your attention off that. Come into my world. So the Jupiter in that quadrant around it's my home, my kids, my performance, my health, my skills, finding work that you like and understanding that you can develop something that you would like to do, and you can live on your own thing and be doing that without having to just do what everyone else is telling you to do. It's the feeling. You're going to understand the feeling section, the reaction section of it. Like I said, as soon as you say it in words, it's not quite enough. I'm just trying to point in these directions, sleep on it, brood about it, puzzle about it. And in between the puzzling, at some point you get moments where you go, oh. And as soon as you get that moment, you sense it, and then you get it, but it kind of fades away. You can't hold on to it, but then you have to apply it. I see what I have to do now. I see I have to fix this. I have to do that. It's very important in any type of rehabilitation or therapy to regroup your life according. It has to be aligned to things you believe in and your own principles. They have to reach your understanding. If it's against your understanding, how are you possibly going to do something? So now when we get to the houses, we're getting to different states of being, different worlds of consciousness, different levels of consciousness. We have our angular houses. And our angular houses, we're trying to be somebody. We're trying to be something. We're trying to make it happen. So if you have your Jupiter and angular houses, your understanding is going to include what you have to be. It's going to exaggerate what you have to be. It's going to say, go for this, go for that. And you can get abundant experiences of what you're going for in that. You can say that's lucky. But having to work through what aren't the good ones and what aren't the bad ones to get the wise choices, so you're trying to be the wise choice, that takes a lifetime to figure out. Some people are perhaps luckier than others, but so you could say these people are lucky at being themselves. So the traditional idea of Jupiter's in your first house, you're just an enthusiastic, jovial, understanding person, likes to travel, likes to see things. You have that Jupiter quality in your identity. If it's at home, you're lucky you have that abundance at home. And that's enough. If you have it in the seventh house, you have a lucky marriage. You have it in the 10th house, it's supposed to be the lucky career. But really, it's, if you have it there, you're having to understand what's right and wrong and be that in your career, be that in you're looking for the relationship, but you want a right relationship, not somebody could go in and say, I understand that, I can relate to, I can have 5, 10 wives, who cares? Why not? That's the Jupiter in the 7th house, but someone will say, that's not right. How can you trust any one person enough if you're being with a whole bunch of people? It takes away the intimacy and the real sharing. So these people are trying to be there, whatever they understand, and the understandings will be conditioned in each quadrant. It's going to accentuate each quadrant. Being identity. And I wouldn't try and spell it out more than that. I'd leave it as a puzzle like that and let people show you how, as you see something, you see, oh, like that. So people in the angular houses are likely to teach or set things up in a way where it's obvious they've worked with their understanding because they've got abundant experiences there. But there's a lot of people who may not have abundance in those areas. But the abundance is usually the abundance is a little bit more misunderstanding than right understanding. And there's work to, well, this is more right than not. But these are people usually affected by a good, if they have a bad understanding, they're going to push it out. If they have a good understanding, they're going to push it out. So if you're in a bad home and you got Jupiter in your 4th house, who's responsible, Saturn, for that understanding of that circumstances? You know, it's not right, it's wrong, you can blame, like, but how did you get there? It's always a puzzle. What did I do to deserve this? What didn't I do to deserve? How come I'm caught here? What can I do? Is how we usually see it. And I don't want to bring Saturn into this. That's too much work, but you have to bring Saturn into it. Or it just keeps going lateral moves. When it's in the succeeding houses of having or using what you have, your understanding gets linked up to accumulating things, to having things. Understand how to get this or how to have this and what's necessary to do to get this. So that's different than trying to be what you understand or have your understanding. Justifying yourself. This is justifying what I'm getting. So I think using the word of how do you justify what you're doing, that's a good way of looking at Jupiter. Say, oh, you justify it by this way, or you justify it by that. So Jupiter in the 2nd house is going to justify its resources, using its talents, having money, using resources, not because of anyone else. I got it, I'm going to use it, ta-da. And my understanding is, yeah, I understand I have to have this, so I have some money so I can use it. So I'm going to try different things to get it. That's the Jupiter. If I'm not having money, I'm going to have the misunderstanding. How come I don't have it to use? How come this is it? Well, how come? I'm just not lucky. But the positive or negative, we flow from one to the other really quickly with Jupiter. It's hard to control that. We get times of grace where the light shines. When it's in the 11th house, it's having friends, having status, knowing everybody. I have this person, I have that person. I know this. I have this accumulated friends. I've been to this group. I'm part of this group. I'm here. I'm going here. I'm doing there. I'm part of the team. So being part of having a team, collecting friends, having people you can go to and talk to and influence. Your Jupiter's there. It's rising. It's above. You're going to be trying to push your understanding out, so people are glad you're part of the team. That, of course, will lead to higher statuses and positions, but Jupiter there, you're going to be looking for that group or team. If you're in a job or position, you have Jupiter in the 11th house, you're going to have to go to social gatherings or hold some or have things to get, so people get to know you. And you'll understand what you have to do usually, or what obstacles are there to get there, or what degree you can do that. For all the people that have jobs and want to have influence with friends and might have their Jupiter there, their Mercury, their Venus, their Sun can be in all different places, so many different depths and different attitudes to come at this. This is why it's another planet. It's not so personal. It's just a theme that's kind of there. But you can see these qualities coming in and accentuating this, giving Jupiter parameters of where it's probably going to work. Really, your understanding should affect your whole chart, but it's going to work through specific areas. Your misunderstandings will show probably very clearly by the house it's in.